She thought she was just using him. Just one night, one appearance, one moment to make her ex panic. But when the mafia boss wrapped his hand around her waist, everything changed. Because he didn't pretend to play. He pulled her close, stared straight into her soul, and said the words that silenced the entire room. "You're mine now." And trust me, he meant it. Revenge. That was the only thing on her mind the night she walked into the club. Her ex had moved on too quickly, too easily, and she wanted him to feel just 1 ounce of the pain she felt. So she made a reckless choice. She walked straight toward the one man everyone else avoided. The mafia boss. Cold, dangerous, untouchable. But she didn't want him. Not really. She just wanted to use him. A smile, a touch, something to make her ex jealous. Except she didn't know who she was dealing with. Because the moment the boss laid eyes on her, he didn't see a game. He saw a challenge. And when he finally pulled her into his arms and said, "You're mine now," she realized she hadn't started a plan. She had started a war. If you're already hooked by this story, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that button right now so you never miss another intense mafia romance like this one. Your support keeps these stories coming. Now, let's dive into Janice's dangerous game with Herman Hopkin. The first thing Janice Conroy felt when she walked into Eclipse Lounge was regret. Deep, immediate, soul-crushing regret. But she was already through the door, already scanning the crowd, already looking for him. Billy Wood. The ex who had shattered her heart 2 months ago when she found texts from another woman on his phone. Texts that were explicit, affectionate, ongoing. She had cried for weeks. Lost 8 pounds she didn't need to lose. Stopped answering Elena's calls because she couldn't bear another "he wasn't good enough for you anyway" conversation. And then, this morning, Elena sent her a screenshot. Billy Wood and his new girlfriend, Vera Mills, at some charity gala, looking like they stepped out of a magazine. His arm around her impossibly tiny waist, his smile wide and carefree, like Janice had never existed. That screenshot burned a hole through her chest. So she did what any wounded woman might do in a moment of pure fury. She got dressed, put on the red dress Billy used to love, and drove to the one place she knew he'd be tonight. His favorite lounge, the place where he closed deals, where he felt important, where he would definitely see her. Janice pushed through the crowd, heels clicking against marble floors. The lounge was packed, all dim lights and expensive cologne, and people who thought they mattered. She spotted Billy immediately. He stood near the VIP section, laughing too loud, hand possessively gripping Vera's waist. Janice's stomach twisted, but she kept walking, kept her chin up, kept pretending she belonged here. Elena grabbed her arm suddenly. "Janice, this is a bad idea." Janice hadn't even noticed Elena following her inside. "It's fine. It's not fine. You look like you're about to do something insane. I'm just here to have a drink. You hate this place. You always said it was full of pretentious jerks." Janice pulled her arm free. "Maybe I changed my mind." Elena sighed. "Jan, please, don't do this. Don't give him the satisfaction." But it was too late. Billy had seen her. His eyes widened just slightly before he covered it with that familiar smirk. He leaned down and whispered something to Vera, who turned and looked directly at Janice with a smile that said, "I won." Janice's hands curled into fists. She needed to do something. Anything. She needed Billy to feel what she felt. Small. Replaceable. Forgotten. And that's when she saw him. A man sitting alone at the bar. Tall, dark suit, broad shoulders, jawline that could cut glass. He wasn't looking at anyone, wasn't trying to impress anyone. He just sat there, drink in hand, radiating a kind of quiet danger that made everyone around him keep their distance. Elena followed her gaze. Janice? No. Absolutely not. Who is he? I don't know, but he looks like he'd eat you alive. Perfect, Janice thought. She smoothed down her dress and walked straight toward him, heart hammering so loudly she was sure the entire lounge could hear it. The man didn't look up when she approached. He just swirled his whiskey, eyes fixed on the amber liquid like it held the answers to every question in the world. Janice cleared her throat. Hi. Nothing. She tried again, louder this time. Excuse me? Finally, he looked up, and the moment his eyes met hers, Janice forgot how to breathe. They were dark, impossibly dark, and they studied her with the kind of intensity that made her feel completely exposed, like he could see through the red dress, through the confidence she was faking, straight down to the broken, desperate woman underneath. Can I help you? His voice was low, smooth, dangerous. Janice swallowed hard. I need a favor. One eyebrow lifted slightly. A favor. Yes. He leaned back in his seat, studying her like she was a puzzle he hadn't decided if he wanted to solve. And what makes you think I'm in the business of doing favors for strangers? Because you look like someone who can handle anything. The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Almost. That's an interesting assumption. Janice glanced over her shoulder. Billy was watching. Good. She turned back to the stranger. My ex is here with his new girlfriend, and I need him to think I've moved on. The man set his glass down slowly. So you want to use me? Just for a few minutes, please. I just need him to see me with someone who looks intimidating. Intimidating? He repeated the word like it amused him. Is that what I look like to you? Yes. He stood up, and Janice had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. He was even taller than she'd thought, and suddenly the air between them felt heavy, charged. What's your name? He asked. Janice. Janice Conroy. Janice. He said it slowly, like he was tasting it. I'm Herman. She nodded quickly. Herman, nice to meet you. So, will you help me? Herman studied her for a long moment. Then, without warning, he reached out and placed his hand on her waist. Firm, warm, possessive. Janice gasped softly. Relax, Herman said, leaning down until his lips were just inches from her ear. If we're going to make this convincing, you need to stop looking terrified. I'm not terrified. His hand tightened slightly. Yes, you are. And he was right. She was terrified, but not of Billy seeing them. She was terrified of the way Herman's touch made her entire body come alive, of the way his voice sent shivers down her spine, of the way he looked at her like she was already his. Herman guided her toward the center of the lounge, toward Billy, toward the moment she'd been both dreading and craving. She could feel every eye in the room turning toward them. People whispered. People stared. Billy noticed. His smile faltered. Good. Herman stopped walking when they were directly in Billy's line of sight. He turned Janice to face him, one hand still on her waist, the other lifting to brush a strand of hair from her face. Is he watching? Herman murmured. Janice nodded, breath catching. Good. Herman's thumb traced her cheekbone slowly, deliberately. Then, let's give him something to remember. Before Janice could respond, Herman pulled her closer, So close, their bodies were almost touching. So close, she could smell his cologne, feel the heat radiating from him. "What are you doing?" she whispered. "Making him jealous," Herman replied simply. "Isn't that what you wanted?" "Yes, but then trust me." And then he did something she didn't expect. He leaned down and pressed his lips to her forehead. Soft, tender, possessive in a way that made her knees weak. Janice's hands instinctively gripped his jacket. She heard Vera's sharp intake of breath, heard Billy's muttered curse. When Herman finally pulled back, his eyes were still locked on hers. "Your ex looks like he wants to punch me." "Good?" Herman smiled. A real smile this time, small and dangerous. "You're more interesting than I thought, Janice Conroy." Before she could respond, Billy appeared beside them. "Janice, what the hell is this?" Janice turned slowly, still tucked against Herman's side. "Billy, hi." Billy's face was red, his jaw clenched. "Who's this?" Herman extended his free hand. "Herman Hopkin." Billy stared at the offered hand like it was a weapon. Then he reluctantly shook it. "Billy Wood." Herman's grip was firm, too firm. Billy winced slightly before pulling his hand back. "You're a friend of Janice's?" Billy asked, voice tight. "Something like that," Herman replied smoothly. Vera appeared then, wrapping herself around Billy's arm. "Who's this, baby?" "My ex," Billy muttered. Vera's eyes traveled over Janice with barely concealed disdain. "Oh, the ex." Janice felt her temper flare. But before she could say anything, Herman's hand tightened on her waist, a warning. Or maybe a comfort. "We should get going," Herman said, voice calm but commanding. "I have a reservation." "A reservation?" Janice blinked. Herman looked down at her, eyes glinting with something she couldn't quite read. "Yes, remember?" She didn't, because there was no reservation, but she played along. "Right, the reservation." Herman nodded to Billy and Vera. "Nice meeting you." And then he guided Janice away, his hand never leaving her waist. They walked through the lounge, through the crowd, out into the cool night air. The moment they were outside, Janice pulled away. "Thank you. I know that was weird. But you really helped." Herman caught her wrist gently. "You really don't know who I am, do you?" Janice frowned. "Should I?" Herman studied her for a long moment. Then he smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who just realized they'd stepped into something complicated. "Yes, Janice," he said quietly. "You should." A black SUV pulled up to the curb. The driver stepped out, opened the back door, and waited. Janice took a step back. "What's happening?" "Get in the car." "Why would I?" Herman stepped closer, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "Because your ex just made a very stupid mistake, and I need to make sure you don't pay for it." "What are you talking about?" Herman's jaw tightened. "Billy Wood just introduced you to me in front of people who know exactly who I am. People who will now assume you matter to me, and in my world, Janice, that makes you a target." Janice's heart hammered. "Your world?" Herman leaned down until his forehead almost touched hers. "I'm not just some guy at a bar, Janice. I'm Herman Hopkin. And in this city, my name means something. Something dangerous." The words crashed over her like ice water. Herman Hopkin. She'd heard that name before, in whispers, in news reports that never quite named him directly, in rumors about organized crime and underground operations and men who disappeared when they crossed the wrong person. Janice's voice came out shaky. "You're... yes." "Oh my God." Herman's hand cupped her face gently. Get in the car, Janice. Let me keep you safe. Safe from what? From the war you just started, Herman said softly. When you used me as your jealousy trap. Janice stood frozen on the sidewalk, staring at the open car door like it was the entrance to hell. Her mind raced, heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst through her ribs. Herman Hopkin, mafia boss, dangerous, untouchable. And she'd just walked up to him like he was some random guy she could use for her petty revenge scheme. I didn't know, Janice whispered. I swear, I didn't know who you were. Herman's expression didn't soften. That doesn't change what just happened. Nothing happened. We just stood there for 2 minutes. In front of Angelo Ricci's men. Janice blinked. Who? Herman gestured toward the lounge entrance. Through the glass doors, Janice could see 2 men in dark suits watching them. They weren't trying to hide it. They just stared, phones in hand, clearly reporting everything they saw. Angelo Ricci runs the East Side, Herman explained, voice tense. He's been trying to find leverage on me for months. And you, Janice Conroy, just gave him exactly what he needed. But I'm nobody, Janice protested. Why would anyone care about me? Because I touched you, Herman said bluntly. Because I held you in public, in front of witnesses, in a way that suggests you matter to me. And in my world, anyone who matters to me becomes a tool, a weapon, a weakness to exploit. Janice felt sick. This is insane. Yes, it is. So what am I supposed to do? Just get in your car and, what, disappear? Herman's jaw tightened. For tonight, yes. I have a life. I have work tomorrow. I have… Janice. His voice cut through her panic like a blade. If you walk away right now, Angelo's men will follow you. They'll learn where you live, where you work, who you care about. And then they'll use all of that information to hurt me. Do you understand? Janice wrapped her arms around herself. This isn't fair. No, it's not. I just wanted Billy to feel a fraction of what I felt when he cheated on me. That's all. I didn't want this. Herman's expression softened slightly. I know, but intentions don't matter, results do. Elena's voice suddenly cut through the tension. Janice! Janice turned. Elena was running toward them, heels clicking frantically against the pavement. Elena, don't! Janice started, but Elena was already there, grabbing Janice's arm. What are you doing? Who is this guy? Herman's eyes flicked to Elena, assessing her quickly. A friend? Her best friend, Elena said sharply. And I'm not letting her get into some stranger's car. Herman's mouth twitched, almost a smile. Smart friend. Damn right I'm smart. Elena turned to Janice. Jan, we're leaving. Now. Janice looked between Elena and Herman, her mind spinning. Part of her wanted to run, to get as far away from Herman Hopkin and his dangerous world as possible. But another part, the part that saw the genuine concern in his eyes, the part that felt the weight of his words, knew he was telling the truth. She was in danger, real danger, and Herman was offering her a way out. Elena, Janice said quietly, I think I need to go with him. Elena's eyes widened. Are you insane? No, I'm scared, but I trust him. You just met him. I know. Herman stepped forward, addressing Elena directly. I understand your concern, but right now, Janice's safety depends on me getting her somewhere secure. You can follow us if you want, or I can have one of my men drive you, but we need to move, now. Elena looked at Herman like she wanted to punch him. Then she looked at Janice. If anything happens to her, It won't, Herman said firmly. Elena exhaled sharply. Fine, but I'm coming with you. Herman nodded. Get in. They all climbed into the SUV. Janice sat in the middle, Elena pressed against her side like a protective shield. Herman took the seat across from them, his presence filling the entire space. The driver pulled away from the curb smoothly, navigating through traffic with practiced ease. Janice's hands trembled in her lap. Where are we going? Somewhere safe, Herman replied. That's not an answer. It's the only one I'm giving you right now. Elena leaned forward. Look, Mr. Hopkin, or whatever your name is. Herman, I get that you're probably some big shot with connections or whatever, but Janice is my best friend, and I need to know she's going to be okay. Herman's gaze shifted to Elena, and for the first time Janice saw something like respect in his expression. Your loyalty is admirable, and I promise you, Janice will be safe. I don't hurt innocent people. What about guilty people? Elena challenged. Herman's smile was cold. That depends on their crimes. The car fell silent. Janice stared out the window, watching the city blur past. They were heading toward the financial district, toward the gleaming high-rises that housed penthouses worth millions. Herman, Janice said softly, what happens after tonight? After tonight, we figure out how to keep you alive. Janice's breath caught. Alive? You really think someone would kill you? Herman finished. Yes, if they thought it would hurt me, yes. Janice squeezed her eyes shut. This was her fault, all her fault. If she hadn't been so desperate, so impulsive, so stupid. Herman's hand covered hers suddenly. Warm, steady, grounding. Don't, he said quietly. Don't blame yourself. How can I not? I walked up to you. I asked you to play along. I started this. And Billy Wood is the one who escalated it, Herman countered. He's the one who brought attention to us. He's the one who made sure everyone saw. Elena frowned. What do you mean? Herman's jaw tightened. Billy Wood isn't just some real estate agent. He's been laundering money for Angelo Ricci for the past 6 months. Janice's head snapped up. What? Property sales, cash transactions, clean paperwork. Billy's been helping Angelo move money through legitimate channels. And when he saw Janice with me, he panicked. He told Angelo's men that I was moving in on his ex-girlfriend. Made it sound like I was trying to take something that belonged to him. Janice felt nauseous. Billy's involved with the Mafia? Not by choice, probably, Herman said. Angelo has a talent for trapping people. He offers them money, opportunities, and by the time they realize they're in too deep, it's too late to get out. Elena cursed under her breath. So Billy dragged Janice into this mess. Yes, Janice's voice came out hollow. He destroyed my life twice, once when he cheated, and now this. Herman's grip on her hand tightened. He won't destroy it a 3rd time. The SUV pulled into an underground garage beneath one of the tallest buildings in the city. Security cameras tracked their movement. Armed guards nodded at Herman as they passed. Janice's stomach twisted. This was real. All of it. She wasn't going home tonight. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not for a long time. They took an elevator to the top floor. The doors opened directly into a penthouse that looked like something out of a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. Furniture sleek and modern. Everything expensive and impeccably clean. Marcus Gray was waiting for them. Tall, muscular, with scars on his knuckles and eyes that missed nothing. "Boss, Marcus said, nodding at Herman. Herman gestured to Janice and Elena. Marcus, this is Janice Conroy and Elena Torres. They're under my protection. Marcus's eyebrows rose slightly. Understood. Herman turned to Janice. You'll stay here tonight. Tomorrow we'll reassess. Janice looked around the penthouse, feeling completely out of place. I can't just stay here. Yes, you can. My apartment is being watched, Herman interrupted. Marcus confirmed it 10 minutes ago. Janice's blood went cold. They know where I live? Yes. Elena grabbed Janice's hand. Okay, that's it. We're calling the police. Herman's expression hardened. The police can't help you. Not against Angelo. Why not? Because half of them are on his payroll. Janice sank onto the couch, legs finally giving out. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. But it was. Herman crouched in front of her, bringing himself to her eye level. Janice, look at me. She did, and saw something unexpected in his eyes. Not anger, not frustration, concern. I know this is overwhelming, Herman said quietly. I know you're scared, but I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Janice's voice trembled. Why would you help me? You don't even know me. Herman's thumb brushed across her knuckles. Because you walked up to me tonight without fear. You looked at me like I was just a man, not a monster. And that's rare in my world. Janice felt tears prick her eyes. I was using you. I know. So why? Because despite everything, you're not a bad person, just a hurt one. And I don't let hurt people get destroyed because of me. Elena made a soft sound beside them, something between a sob and a laugh. Okay, maybe you're not a complete monster. Herman stood, a ghost of a smile on his lips.
High praise. He turned to Marcus. Set them up in the guest rooms. Full security.
No one gets in or out without my approval. Marcus nodded. Done. As Marcus led Elena away to show her the rooms, Herman lingered with Janice. Try to get some sleep, he said gently. Janice looked up at him. What about you? I have work to do. Work? Herman's expression darkened. I need to send a message to Angelo, one that makes it very clear you're off limits. Janice stood quickly. Please, don't hurt anyone because of me. Herman studied her face for a long moment. Then he reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Janice, in my world, people only respect one thing: power. And right now, the only way to keep you safe is to remind everyone exactly how much power I have. His hand lingered against her cheek, warm, gentle. Completely at odds with the dangerous promise in his words. Get some rest, Herman said softly. Tomorrow, we fight back. And then he was gone, disappearing into another room, leaving Janice standing alone in a penthouse that felt more like a cage than a sanctuary. Elena appeared beside her. Jan? Janice turned. Yeah? I think you just fell for a mafia boss. Janice wanted to deny it, wanted to laugh it off, but she couldn't, because Elena was right. Somewhere between the bar and the car, between the fear and the protection, between the lies and the truth, Janice Conroy had started falling for Herman Hopkin, and that terrified her more than anything Angelo Ricci could do. Janice didn't sleep. How could she? Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Angelo Ricci's men watching her. Every creak of the penthouse made her jump. Every shadow felt like a threat. She sat on the edge of the guest bed, still wearing the red dress, still trying to process everything that had happened in the span of a few hours. A soft knock sounded at the door. "Come in," Janice said quietly. Elena slipped inside, wearing borrowed clothes from Herman's closet, an oversized t-shirt and sweatpants that swallowed her small frame. "Can't sleep either?" Elena asked, sitting beside Janice. "No." They sat in silence for a moment. "Jan," Elena said finally, "what are we going to do?" "I don't know. We can't stay here forever." "I know." Elena grabbed Janice's hand. "But for tonight, we're safe. And that's something." Janice nodded, though she didn't feel safe. She felt trapped, exposed, like a pawn in a game she didn't understand. Another knock, firmer this time. "Come in," Janice called. Marcus stepped inside, his expression serious. "Herman wants to see you. Both of you." Janice and Elena exchanged glances before standing and following Marcus through the penthouse. Herman was in his office, a sleek room dominated by a massive desk and wall-to-wall bookshelves. He stood by the window, phone pressed to his ear, voice low and dangerous. "I don't care what Angelo thinks he's entitled to. She's mine now. Make that clear." He ended the call and turned as Janice and Elena entered. "Sit," Herman said, gesturing to the chairs across from his desk. They sat. Herman remained standing, arms crossed, jaw tight. "We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" Janice asked, heart sinking. "Angelo knows where you work. He knows your routine, your friends, your family." Janice felt ice spread through her chest. "My family?" "Your mother lives in Connecticut. You visit her twice a month. You have a younger brother named Ryan who's studying architecture at Yale." Janice's hands curled into fists. "How do you know that?" "Because I had Marcus run a background check the moment we got here. If I can find that information, so can Angelo." Elena leaned forward. "So what are you saying? That Janice's entire family is in danger?" "Potentially, yes." Janice stood abruptly. "Then I need to call them. Warn them." Herman shook his head. "No, that will only make things worse." "How could it be worse?" "Because if Angelo realizes you're trying to protect them, he'll use them as bait. He'll wait for you to make contact, trace the call, and follow the trail straight to you." Janice felt tears burn her eyes. "So I'm just supposed to do nothing? Let them walk around completely unaware that they might be targets?" Herman's expression softened slightly. "No, I've already sent men to watch your mother's house and your brother's dorm. They won't know they're being protected, but they'll be safe." Janice sank back into the chair, overwhelmed. "Why are you doing all this?" "Because it's the right thing to do." That's not an answer. Herman walked around the desk and leaned against it, studying her. "You want the truth, Janice?" "Yes. The truth is, I'm tired. Tired of the violence, the betrayals, the constant need to prove I'm the most dangerous man in the room. And then you walked up to me tonight, desperate and impulsive and completely unaware of who I was. You saw me as just a man, not a weapon, not a monster, just someone who could help you." He paused, jaw working. "That reminded me of something I'd forgotten," Herman continued quietly. "That underneath all the power and fear and blood, I'm still human, and humans are supposed to protect people, not destroy them." The room fell silent. Elena spoke first. "That's surprisingly philosophical for a mafia boss." Herman's mouth twitched. "I contain multitudes." Despite everything, Janice almost smiled, but the moment was shattered when Marcus burst into the room. "Boss, we've got incoming." Herman's entire demeanor shifted instantly. "Angelo? His men. 3 cars. They're demanding you turn over the girl." Janice's heart stopped. "They're here. Now?" Herman was already moving, grabbing a gun from a drawer in his desk. "Marcus, secure the exits. No one gets past the lobby." Marcus nodded and disappeared. Elena grabbed Janice's arm. "What's happening?" Herman turned to them, his expression deadly serious. "Angelo's making his move, faster than I expected." "What do we do?" Janice whispered. Herman walked over to her, cupping her face with both hands. "You trust me. That's what you do." "Herman," "Janice, I need you to listen very carefully. Whatever happens in the next few minutes, you stay in this room. You don't open the door for anyone except me or Marcus. Understand?" "You're scaring me." "Good. Fear keeps you cautious, and caution keeps you alive." He pressed his forehead to hers briefly, a gesture so tender it made Janice's chest ache. Then he was gone, striding out of the office like he was walking into battle, which Janice realized with growing horror he was. Elena locked the office door the moment Herman left. "Okay, new plan. We barricade ourselves in here and pray." Janice nodded numbly, but her mind was racing. This was all her fault. If she hadn't approached Herman, if she hadn't been so desperate for revenge, none of this would be happening. Voices echoed from somewhere below, angry, demanding. Then a gunshot. Elena screamed. Janice clapped a hand over her mouth, muffling the sound. More gunshots, shouting, the sound of breaking glass. Janice ran to the window, looking down at the street below. 3 black cars were parked outside the building. Men in suits stood around them, weapons visible. This was real. This was actually happening. Another gunshot, closer this time. Elena grabbed Janice's hand. "Jan, I'm scared." "Me too." They huddled together behind Herman's desk, hearts pounding, waiting for something, anything, to happen. Minutes felt like hours. Then, finally, the door handle rattled. Janice and Elena froze. "Janice?" Herman's voice. "It's me. Open the door." Janice scrambled to her feet, unlocking the door with shaking hands. Herman stepped inside, blood on his shirt, cut above his eyebrow, but otherwise unharmed. "Are you okay?" Janice asked, reaching for him instinctively. Herman caught her hands, holding them gently. "I'm fine. They're gone." "Gone?" "Angelo's men. I made it clear that anyone who tries to touch you will end up in the river." Janice's stomach turned. "You didn't kill anyone?" Herman finished. "No, but I came close." Elena stood shakily. "What happens now?" Herman's jaw tightened. "Now we take the fight to Angelo." "What does that mean?" Janice asked. Herman looked at her, eyes burning with determination. "It means I'm going to end this. One way or another." Herman paced his office like a caged animal. Marcus stood by the door, arms crossed, expression grim. "We need to hit Angelo before he makes another move," Herman said. "Agreed," Marcus replied. "But we need to be smart about this. Angelo's expecting retaliation. Then we give him something he's not expecting." Janice stood from where she'd been sitting. "What are you planning?" Herman turned to her. "I'm going to meet with Angelo. Negotiate." "Negotiate?" Janice's voice rose. You just said negotiation doesn't work in your world. It doesn't. But Angelo doesn't know I'm not actually negotiating. Marcus smiled darkly. A trap. Exactly. Elena stepped forward. And what happens if Angelo doesn't fall for it? What if he just kills you? Herman's expression softened as he looked at Janice. Then you run. Marcus will get you somewhere safe, somewhere Angelo can't find you. Janice shook her head violently. No, you're not doing this. You're not risking your life because of me. Janice, no! Tears streamed down her face. I won't let you die because I was stupid and desperate and… Herman crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms. Shh, I'm not going to die. You don't know that. Yes, I do. He pulled back just enough to look at her. Because I have something Angelo doesn't. What? Something worth fighting for. Janice's breath caught. Herman. He cupped her face gently. I meant what I said before. You reminded me that I'm human. And humans are capable of more than just destruction. They're capable of protection, of devotion, of love. Janice's heart stuttered. Love? Herman's thumb brushed across her cheek. Yes, Janice, love. He kissed her then, soft and fierce, and filled with a promise that made Janice's knees weak. When they finally pulled apart, Herman rested his forehead against hers. So I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Janice nodded, though every part of her screamed that this was wrong, dangerous, impossible. Herman turned to Marcus. Set it up. Tell Angelo I'll meet him at the warehouse, tomorrow night. Just him and me. Marcus hesitated. Boss, that's… insane? Herman smiled grimly. Yes, but it's the only way to end this. The next night came too quickly. Janice stood in Herman's penthouse, watching him prepare. He dressed in a dark suit, checked his weapons with practiced ease, and moved like someone who'd done this 1,000 times before. Marcus was already waiting downstairs with a team of men. Elena sat beside Janice, both of them silent, both of them terrified. Herman finished his preparations and walked over to Janice. I need you to promise me something. What? If I don't come back, don't say that. Janice, his voice was firm but gentle. If I don't come back, you take the money Marcus will give you, and you disappear. You start over. You live the life you deserve. Tears blurred Janice's vision. I don't want a life without you in it. Herman smiled sadly. You might not have a choice. He kissed her one last time, long and slow and desperate. Then he was gone. Janice collapsed onto the couch the moment the elevator doors closed. Elena wrapped her arms around her, both of them crying. Hours passed. Each minute felt like an eternity. Then, finally, Janice's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. He's alive, but he needs you. Janice's hands shook. Elena. What? We need to go. Now. They found Herman at the warehouse. Blood soaked through his shirt, a gash across his ribs, but he was standing. Barely. Angelo Ricci lay unconscious on the ground, surrounded by Herman's men. Janice ran to Herman, catching him as his legs gave out. Oh my God, Herman! I'm okay, he rasped. It's over. Over? Herman nodded weakly. Angelo's finished. His empire's done. You're safe. Janice sobbed against his chest, holding him like she'd never let go. You're mine now, Herman whispered against her hair. And I'm yours forever. 3 days later, Janice sat in Herman's penthouse, watching the sunrise paint the city in shades of gold and pink. Herman was beside her, arm wrapped around her shoulders, his injuries bandaged but healing. Angelo Ricci had been arrested. His organization was dismantled. Herman had made sure of it. "What happens now?" Janice asked quietly. Herman pressed a kiss to her temple. "Now we rebuild. Together." "Together?" "Yes." He turned her to face him. "Janice Conroy, you walked into my life accidentally, but I'm not letting you walk out. Not ever." Janice smiled through tears. "Is that a threat or a promise?" "Both." She kissed him softly. "Then I guess I'm yours." "Forever," Herman murmured against her lips. "Forever." 6 months later, Janice stood in front of a mirror in a white dress. Elena fussed with her veil, tears in her eyes. "I can't believe you're marrying a mafia boss," Elena said. Janice laughed. "Neither can I. Are you sure about this?" Janice looked at her reflection. "I've never been more sure of anything." Because Herman Hopkin wasn't just a mafia boss. He was the man who had saved her life, who had protected her family, who had loved her fiercely and completely. And when she walked down the aisle and saw him waiting for her, eyes filled with love and devotion, Janice knew one thing for certain. She was his, and he was hers. Forever. But their happiness was short-lived. 2 weeks before the wedding, Janice received a letter. No return address, just a single sentence written in elegant script. "You think it's over? It's just beginning." Herman's face darkened when she showed him. "Angelo's brother." "What?" "Dante Ricci. He's been in Europe for the past year, but if he's back—" Herman didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Marcus confirmed it 3 hours later. Dante Ricci had returned to the city, and he wanted revenge. Herman immediately tightened security. Guards surrounded the penthouse. Janice wasn't allowed to leave without an armed escort. But Dante was patient, calculated, dangerous in ways Angelo never was. He didn't attack directly. Instead, he targeted Herman's businesses. One by one, they burned. Literally. Warehouses, clubs, properties, all gone. Herman was losing ground fast. And then came the ultimatum. A video sent to Herman's phone. Janice's mother, bound and gagged, tears streaming down her face. Dante's voice off camera. "You took my brother's empire. Now I'll take everything you love, starting with her." Janice watched the video and felt her entire world collapse. Herman's expression was murderous. "I'm going to kill him." "No." Janice grabbed his arm. "He wants you to come after him. It's a trap." "I don't care." "Herman, please. Think." But Herman was beyond thinking. He was operating on pure rage. Within hours, he had mobilized every man he had. They descended on Dante's location, an abandoned building on the outskirts of the city. It was a trap. Dante had dozens of men waiting. A firefight erupted. Herman fought with everything he had, but he was outnumbered. And then Janice did something reckless. She went after him. Elena tried to stop her. Marcus tried to stop her. But Janice grabbed a car and drove straight into the war zone. She found Herman pinned down behind a concrete barrier, bleeding from multiple wounds. "Janice!" he roared when he saw her. "What the hell are you doing here?" "Saving you," she said simply. And then she did the unthinkable. She walked straight toward Dante Ricci, hands raised. "Janice, no!" Herman screamed. But she didn't stop. Dante emerged from the shadows, gun pointed at her heart. "Bold move, sweetheart." "Let my mother go," Janice said, voice steady despite her terror. "Take me instead." Dante laughed. "Why would I do that?" "Because I'm what Herman loves most. If you want to hurt him, you don't kill me. You keep me alive. Make him suffer watching me with you." Dante's eyes gleamed. "Interesting proposition." Herman roared again. "Janice, don't!" But Dante grabbed her, pressing the gun to her temple. "Drop your weapons, Hopkin, or she dies right now." Herman's face went white. Slowly, he lowered his gun. Dante smiled. "Good boy." What happened next was chaos. Marcus appeared from nowhere, shooting Dante in the shoulder. Herman lunged forward, tackling Dante to the ground. Janice screamed as the gun went off inches from her head. But the bullet missed. Herman beat Dante unconscious, blood and rage mixing together until Marcus finally pulled him off. "Boss, it's done. He's done." Herman turned to Janice, pulling her into his arms so tightly she could barely breathe. "Never again," he whispered into her hair. "Never again do you risk yourself for me." "I'd do it 1,000 times," Janice replied. "I know. That's what terrifies me." 2 months later, Janice stood in a small chapel, surrounded by their closest friends. No grand ceremony, no elaborate reception, just them. Herman waited at the altar, eyes never leaving hers as she walked toward him. When the officiant asked if he took Janice as his wife, Herman's answer was simple: forever. When he kissed her, the world fell away. They had survived mafia wars, kidnappings, betrayals, fire and blood and chaos, but they had survived together. And as they drove away from the chapel, hands intertwined, Janice knew one thing for certain. She had used Herman Hopkin as a jealousy trap. But he had claimed her heart completely, and she wouldn't have it any other way. She only wanted to make her ex jealous, but she chose the wrong man to play with. Herman Hopkin wasn't supposed to care until he pulled her close and whispered, "You're mine now." What started as a petty revenge plan spirals into danger, obsession, betrayal, and a love she never expected. From mafia wars to hidden enemies to a wedding that almost never happened, Janice and Herman fight for their happily ever after. Will they survive, or will their enemies tear them apart forever? Subscribe for more Mafia romance stories. Comment more if you want part 2, like if you're Team Herman. If you enjoyed this intense journey with Janice and Herman, don't forget to subscribe. Your support means everything and helps us create more emotional, thrilling stories just like this one. Even if you're watching on your TV, take a moment to join this family of romance lovers. Hit that subscribe button, drop a comment, letting me know what you thought, and I'll see you in the next story. Until then, remember, true love is worth fighting for.